And this is the classic Thanksgiving game.
You love Dallas.
One of these teams is probably not going to make the playoffs, and it's probably going to be because of this game.
Finally, an underdog that can find a way on the road.
Which means just feed them. 30 touches, maybe more. Hello and welcome to a special Thanksgiving episode of Ain't That Our Ball. Happy holidays. I'm David Scott. Alongside me is NFL expert Ryan Sanudo. Got some fun Thanksgiving games coming up.
Oh, lots of good ones. Chiefs, Cowboys. I mean, this is such a star-studded matchup. And then Packers, Lions. I love these matchups.
Well, let's start with that Chiefs-Cowboys game. Both teams getting big wins last week that are really putting them back into the playoff picture. Chiefs and Cowboys right on the outside looking in. They both badly need this win.
Oh, definitely. Like the Chiefs, if they lost that game against the Colts, their playoff odds would have dropped to 30%, maybe even less. And then the Cowboys, they came back against the Eagles. If they lose that game, they're under 500. So both these teams needed those wins in Week 12, but Week 13, these two teams are desperate for a win again.
Yeah, it's insane that they're just scraping by, and it feels like one of these two teams, both really good teams. Cowboys defense a little weaker, but that offense is spectacular. One of these teams is probably not going to make the playoffs, and it's probably going to be because of this game. It's a really good matchup of a star-studded offense against a star-studded defense, and a Patrick Mahomes offense against a really bad defense. But we saw against the Eagles that the Cowboys were good enough.
Yeah, they were good enough, but I just feel like the Eagles' offense, they've just done it the whole year where they're looking like they're a great offense, and then they look like one of the worst offenses in the league. I feel like with the Chiefs, I feel like it stood out to me that they, put a stand against Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor. They really made Taylor work, and he really didn't do too much in the game. So I really like that Chiefs defense in this game. And I know it's on the road, but I just feel like the Chiefs offense, they looked a lot better than they normally did in the past. So the Chiefs offense, Rashee Rice had the 8 catches, Worthy with a nice reception in overtime, and Kelsey a couple catches here and there. Chiefs offense, I do like in this game, and I expect them to come away with the win.
Yeah, I'm going to go against you because I have been.
You love Dallas.
I've been riding the Cowboys
riding and dying with them,
for a while now. I still love Dak Prescott. He keeps showing me that he's a star player in this league, and that offense, I just can't look away from that offense. The George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams has been awesome. Jake Ferguson, you could go down the list. They're doing it against spectacular defenses. Eagles are among the best, if not the best, in the league. The Chiefs have a great defensive unit too, but if the Cowboys can do it against the Eagles, I see them doing it again against the Chiefs, getting a huge win on Thanksgiving Day.
It's a short turnaround for both these two teams, and Dallas has the luxury. They were at home just now, so they're going to stay in Dallas, and Chiefs have to go all the way to Dallas. But the Cowboys' offense, they're really good. I just still worry about that defense. I know they were good against Philly, but that was more of like, I feel like Philly the moments that they were making, they weren't getting things done, when they should have. And I just think that the Cowboys' defense, I still don't trust too much compared to the Chiefs' defense. I feel like when in doubt, you ride with a defense that can do it, and the Chiefs' defense, to me, it stood out to me more that they battled against the Colts that were 8-2 entering the game. Daniel Jones, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Jonathan Taylor, arguably one of the best offensive players in the league. The Chiefs need this one desperately, and I trust Mahomes more, than Dak Prescott.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Worth noting, Daniel Jones only had around 180 passing yards. Jonathan Taylor under 100 yards for the first time in a couple weeks. So they definitely can shut down those offensive weapons that the Cowboys have. Are they going to do so? We'll see that in a matter of time. Let's go on to our next star-studded Thanksgiving matchup, and this is the classic Thanksgiving game, the Green Bay Packers versus the Detroit Lions. One team, the Packers, barely holding on to a playoff spot. Detroit Lions, just outside. It looks like whoever wins this game is in a playoff spot, and whoever loses it is out of a playoff spot. Going to be pretty tight. Again, both teams desperate for a win.
I'll start with the Green Bay Packers. They dominated Minnesota, but honestly, I think that was most on J.J. McCarthy looking terrible. He's looked terrible the whole year, so I'll give the Packers defense some credit. But the Packers offense still looked, worrisome here and there. Jordan Love had no passing touchdowns. Emmanuel Wilson stepped up 2 rushing touchdowns. And going to the Lions, I just love that offense. Jahmyr Gibbs. If you were a fantasy owner and you had Gibbs, you had to love that day. It's just him. It's St. Brown. It's so many guys on that offense. They lost Laporta, but I feel like they still got the stars, to step up when needed. So it's a classic Packers-Lions. This is a huge huge game for both these two teams. But I really like Detroit in this game. At home, and this is such a much needed win for both these two teams, but I like Detroit in this one.
Yeah, I think I like Detroit in this one too. I think they're a little bit more desperate, which is why they might play a little bit harder in this game. But we saw them against the Giants defense, which is nothing to scoff at, go nuclear. Sure, there's no Jameson Williams action in that game, which didn't matter. They still had Amon-Ra go crazy, Jahmyr Gibbs went crazy. David Montgomery was still serviceable. He didn't have his best game, but it's hard to give him the ball when Jahmyr is doing such insane things with his legs. And then Jared Goff, again, just competent, safe with the football, not doing anything too dangerous, not doing anything too crazy. Now, he's going up against the Packers, which is going to be a little bit more dangerous. You got Micah Parsons there, who's always ready to wreck your game plan. Got guys like McMillan in the back. So it's just, around it's going to be a lot tougher of a test, but at the same time, that offense is so much scarier than the Vikings. You got no J.J. McCarthy, so you already got to be more concerned. I think the Lions can pull out a big win here.
I think so, and the Lions are good against the run. And first of all, I think the Packers they have to rely on Josh Jacobs, and he wasn't in that game. I think they got by with Emmanuel Wilson just fine, but I like Jacobs a lot more. So if Jacobs doesn't play in this game, I'm sorry, I like the Lions in this game. For that's one of those big reasons is Jacobs possibly not playing in this game. And the wide receivers, they haven't stood out. Dobbs only had 2 catches. Watson had a couple 4 or 5 catches, but I feel like the Packers, I'm not buying that offense with Tucker Kraft out. And then the Lions, I just feel like maybe, yes, the Packers will get some stands, but the Lions offense I trust a lot more in this game. They're at home. I really like the Lions offense compared to the Packers offense.
Yeah, well, Jacobs was a game time decision. They wanted to get him through some warm-ups to see how he was feeling. Ends up not playing. I think that's a good sign for his availability against the Lions. Short week, so that could change things as well. Probably going to be a similar kind of thing. Go through the warm-up, see how he's feeling. If that knee is ready to go, he'll play. If it's not, then more Emmanuel Wilson. So hard to game plan that if you're the Lions because you don't really know if he's going to play or not. But like you said, it's a huge change in the offense because the Lions defense can really clue in more on the passing game if there's no Josh Jacobs there.
And the Detroit Lions, yes, I think they can win this game, but for some reason they don't get winning streaks. They haven't had a 2-game winning streak since September, so they always do like a win-loss thing. They have to find a way to win this game, get 2-game winning streak, and move forward because it's going to be December before you know it. So they have to start racking up wins, and like you said, they're not in the playoffs right now. So Detroit in that offense, I trust a lot more, and I think that when it comes down to it, St. Brown can find a way to get open. Gibbs in the backfield and can also catch passes. And Montgomery, he hasn't even been showing himself the last couple of weeks because of Gibbs. So many options in the offense. I like Detroit.
All right, well, if Detroit picks up a win here, they likely vault themselves back into playoff contention. We're going to step away from the Thanksgiving games now. There is one more. It's the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens, but not as big of implications there. So we're going to leave that for you guys to watch without some conversation. We're going to step into some of those Sunday games because they're still happening. It's not just Thanksgiving games. Let's start with the Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts. Texans at defense, boy, it looks scary. Colts coming off a tight loss to the Chiefs. This is a really exciting divisional matchup.
Texans-Colts in this matchup. I feel like a couple weeks ago we were probably thinking about this matchup, but now they've been racking up wins, the Texans. They beat the Buffalo Bills on Thursday Night Football. So this is such a great matchup. The Texans need this win more. Obviously, they have 6 wins compared to the Colts' 8. But just like that, just 2 games, difference between the 2 teams. So the Colts lose this game, it's just going to be 1 game between the 2. So, and the Colts, I know it's this year, but they've had a history of, blowing it towards the late of the season. So I think this is such a great game. The Texans defense, like you said, is just great. They sacked Josh Allen 8 times, and Allen can move. So Daniel Jones can move too, but all it takes is that pressure, and there's nothing you can really do.
Yeah. Jones was held in check against the Chiefs defense, and the Chiefs defense, great unit, not the same caliber that we've seen of the Houston Texans. If they can keep that insane pressure that they put on Josh Allen on Daniel Jones, I see no way that this Colts offense operates. They were held in check on the run game. The passing game wasn't quite there. They had a good first half, but then were stymied in the whole second half. So the Texans offense is like not that much to scoff at either. Davis Mills is in there doing just fine. He just beat the Bills. So this is, I think, a scary matchup for the Colts. You can't look past this one. You have to just totally clue in on this because if you lose focus a little bit in this game, the Colts are going to come out. They're going to punch you in the mouth. And if C.J. Stroud is back, that's even more to be scared of.
And Daniel Jones hasn't faced a D'Amico Ryans defense yet, so that's a major challenge for him. Just all those guys on that defense, Stingley, Anderson, Hunter. So there's so many guys on that defense that can just change the whole game. I feel like they're almost like the Broncos in a way, the Texans. They rely on that defense, and if they, spark something early, they maybe a turnover by Jones. We see a Jones from the Giants version in this game. I could see the Texans pulling off this upset. Actually, you know what? I think they're going to win this game, the Texans.
Yeah.
6-5. I've been, having too many favorites as winners. I think this is finally, an underdog that can find a way. On the road, Colts, Texans, the Texans have found ways to win against the Colts.
Yeah, it certainly would have massive playoff implications if this goes to the Texans. They win closer to the Colts. The Colts step further away from that 1 seed. I'm going to talk about why I think the Colts could win this game, or maybe should win this game. You're not going to see Jonathan Taylor have the same performance he had from last week. Sure, that defensive front from the Texans is terrifying, and I would never want to be faced up against it, but Jonathan Taylor's not going to have a 60, 70-yard game in back-to-back weeks. He's not. He's not going to let that happen. I think he probably is going to explode in this game. Is it going to be enough to offset maybe that strong Texans defensive back group? Don't know. But I think if the Colts want to find a win in this game, they're going to have to get Jonathan Taylor going much more than he did in the last game, which means just feed him. 30 touches, maybe more. Just give the ball to Jonathan Taylor and let him run rampant.
And I think it's so crucial for the Colts to win games, because if they don't, it means that Taylor didn't have a good game. I mean, each game, Taylor had less than 75 rushing yards. So if they lose this game, it's most likely going to happen just like the Chiefs and other games that they lost. The Steelers game too. And I think for the Texans' sake, offensively, just don't make that bad turnover. Like Davis Mills it can have that potential to do that. And that offense can be, very anemic at times too. Nico Collins hasn't been the same guy as he was last year because of, I think, the quarterback situation and the offensive line. So there are some concerns I have with the Houston Texans offense, but I think it all comes down to, it's going to be a low-scoring game. So that's what's going to play to the Texans' advantage. They don't have to score too many points.
All right, well, exciting defensive matchup I think we're going to see there. On to our final game. We're going to look at the top seed in the AFC versus the bottom seed in the NFC. We're looking at the New England Patriots versus the New York Giants. Interesting matchup to pick here, I know, but we haven't talked much about the Patriots. And also the Giants, regardless of record, they're fun to watch.
We outside, but we inside. Come on. We outside, but we inside. Come on.
I like the guys on the Giants. They almost beat the Lions last week. As we know, they don't know how to finish games. And the Patriots are still just rolling along. It seems pretty easy to figure out who's going to win this one.
Oh, the Patriots, they haven't lost since September. I mean, it goes without saying that they should win this game. And the Giants, they fired the defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, finally. So you might get like a better effort in this game, I think, especially that it's now a Monday Night Football game, so you have an extra day to rest. But the Patriots offense, the thing is with New England that they have bad starts to games. Like they're very slow, and then second quarter on, they just pick things up. So I think you'll see it in this type of game where the Giants surprise people like they have been. They've gotten leads early. But again, the Patriots always find a way in the second quarter on. So the Patriots should win this game, but the Giants, like you said, they're entertaining to watch on offense. Defensively, different story.
Yeah, I think the biggest question mark going into this game is who are we going to see at quarterback for the Giants? Jackson Dart still has not come back from that concussion. I think they might keep playing it safe. They've already lost a couple of their young stars for the season. They don't want to do anything to really negatively impact Dart for the long term. So possible Jameis Winston is back out there again, but as you said, long week, so they might be able to rest him a bit longer and put Jackson Dart back in there for this game. I think regardless of who's out there, the Patriots have a really good pass defense, and that's probably going to be what is highlighted most in this game. Probably a couple turnovers.
By Jameis.
Jameis loves throwing those. But, I mean, Jameis had a fantastic
game
good against the Lions. He had some really fun plays. He caught a touchdown.
Oh.
It's always fun watching Jameis play. But I think this could be a point where they kind of run into a brick wall.
That, and also I think Jackson Dart, just rest him another week. You have the bye the following week, so maybe you bring back Dart the following, once they come off the bye. Give Jameis one more start. Hey, why not? He's been entertaining to watch.
And they're eliminated now.
They're eliminated, the first team to be eliminated. So I think Jameis Winston, you put him out there, and he's gonna get some success, here and there. But the Patriots defense, second halves, they dominate their opponents. And I think the Patriots offense doesn't have to do too much at times at the end of games. So the Patriots defense can dictate things. And I think, just with the limited options the Giants have. Yes, you have Theo Johnson, who's been better. And, the run game, Tyrone Tracy's nothing to write home about, really. So they do have their limited options, and they find ways. But I think Patriots overall, they just have it top to bottom on the roster compared to New York.
I do have a question for you about the Patriots, which is there's been a lot of talk about their schedule. They certainly haven't played the toughest opponents. They have a nice win over the Bills, they have a nice win over the Buccaneers. They play playing a lot of teams like the Giants. So my question to you is, do you believe that the Patriots are legit at 10-2, or do you think they're quite propped up by their schedule?
I think they're quite propped up by their schedule. Look, I think they have a good roster, but 10-2, I don't know about that one. So I think it's been a while since we keep talking about that Bills game. That was quite a while ago. I think it was almost 2 months ago. And the Bucs game, that was like a month plus ago. Every week I just see them playing the Bengals, the Giants, the Jets. So there's all these games that they're playing, and they're these teams that are just going to be in the top 10 in the NFL draft. At the same time, I'll give them credit. They do have a good roster, but 10-2, I feel like they're more of like an 8-win type team. I think next year you're going to see a team that can be like that number one. First of all, they are in the first seed right now, but yeah. I think it's propped up by their schedule. I don't know if you agree. I think that schedule, it looked really easy entering the season. I think it's a lot easier right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think they're still a good team.
Yeah.
And we'll see how they perform once they get into the playoffs. But right now, yeah, I don't feel too spectacular about them. I will ask about their nice young quarterback, Drake Maye. MVP candidate?
I think he is. Hey, I have Stafford as my MVP right now, but that goes without saying. Look at his stats. You don't have to argue too much about that one.
Last 10 episodes.
But then other than that, yes, you have Josh Allen, who's actually been a lot better now, so he is in that conversation now. But Drake Maye, he's not too far back. I think he's top 3, top 4, when it comes to MVP favorites. So I just think that he did have that bad interception against the Bengals, but other than that, he looked good. So every game he's looked good. So I give a lot of credit to Drake Maye. The reason that they're 10-2 is because of Drake Maye and Mike Vrabel and that defense. So they've all come together as a whole, and I like Drake Maye. But let's be honest, that 10-2 record, I think they're more like an 8-win team than a 10-win team right now.
We'll see if Maye bolsters his MVP candidacy a little bit more against a weaker Giants squad. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Ain't That Our Ball. You can watch us every Thursday, and every Monday you can catch our tactics show, X's and O's. Please leave a like and subscribe, and let us know who you think is going to come out on top in the Thanksgiving matchups.